5 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. I'll call this regularly scheduled school district, Carroll County School District 2 Board of Trustees meeting to order. Joe, would you mind leading us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented. As amended. Oh, as amended.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye. Okay, there are no presentations or correspondence. 5 would be resignations hiring. Item A.
Just one, we did have one piece of correspondence from Wyoming First Lady Jenny Gordon. So it's an attachment, but it was just thanking all of the people that helped keep the lunches going during COVID. So the governor did a proclamation of school meal hero. So I just put that. Resignations 5A. The first item is to accept the resignation from Lindsay Boardman, who is currently the science teacher effective at the end of the school year. The letter is attached.
Chair, I move that we accept the resignation of Lindsay Boardman and Thomas. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the resignation letter from Lindsay Boardman and thank her for her service to the district. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
5B, this is a hiring with recommending Marissa Palm, who is not the one we already have, is Marissa Palm. It's actually Kendall Palm's sister. But would recommend you to offer her a contract for the 21-22 school year. Her current assignment will be Saratoga Elementary, pending her certification.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we offer a contract to Marissa Palm for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment will be SES, pending certification. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to offer a contract to Marissa Palm for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment, Saratoga Elementary, pending certification. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See.
CSU, we're recommending you to offer a contract to David Jones for the coming school year. His current assignment will be the HEM junior senior high school PE teacher. We had the long-term sub in that position this year with the resignation in late August. So this will be filling that position next year. Pending certification.
Mr. Chairman, I move we offer a contract to David Jones for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment HEM senior high school physical education.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to offer a contract to David Jones for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment being HEM PE pending certification. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B.
Recommending you to offer a contract to Nani Weber for the coming school year. Her current assignment will be Saratoga Middle High School English.
Chair, I recommend that we offer a contract to Nani Weber for the 21-22 school year, and her assignment will be Saratoga Middle High School English.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to offer a contract to Noni Weber for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment SMHS English. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
We're recommending you offer a contract to Brooke Bodar for the coming school year. Her current assignment will be Canton K-12 counselor.
Mr. Chairman, I move we offer a contract to Brooke Bodar for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment will be Canton K-12 counselor.
Second.
Moved and seconded to offer the contract to Brooke Bodar for the 2021-2022 school year. Current assignment being encampment school counselor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And this is the item we added. We got a late resignation from Bailey Laughlin, effective at the end of the school year. She has been at Saratoga Elementary School in special ed.
Is it effective this year? Is there something about like doing something in the summer?
She would still be available to do something this summer. This is just her teaching position.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the resignation from Bailey Laughlin effective at the end of the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the resignation of Bailey Laughlin effective at the end of the 2020 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, no, maybe if we have more hirings for the rest of the school year, maybe just in the notes, just a little note where they came from, like a graduate of some school, or if they came from, just for background. Curious to have a better description, and just a little one sentence difference. I would like that. All right, item 6A, superintendent report.
My report is included. I'll just go quickly down the report. The enrollment figures there. You can see we are at 580 as of the end of last month. You can see the attendance areas compared to a year ago. Encampment's +6, Saratoga's +7. Up north, if you add the northern campuses together, we're down to 18. So we're losing a few kids over time, at least compared to last year, mainly up in the northern. You can see that it's all divided out per campus, and you can see that. Item 2, we annually review the district leases and usage agreements. We pared a few of those down by selling some things up north, so the list is a little bit less. I won't go down through every one of those leases unless you have a question about one.
Only one I had a question about, and this is probably this is the Medicine Bow library one. That we don't have to do anything about it now. It's just been kind of focusing out of some of those properties. Does the town of Medicine Bow own that property? We had reasons to own property before, but do we need to keep owning that property, or?
Actually, it's not even on the school facilities. Or us owning that property, so it has no impact whatsoever on us one way or the other.
So we can take action to remove that between now and next year.
Yeah, no rush, but yeah, just if we're trying to clean stuff up,
It's actually I'm sorry, excuse
it's
me.
at least in the county.
It's at least to the county, not the town.
But I don't know if the town would want to do the park.
It's like one lot or 2 lots.
Yeah. They might be able to do what they did.
We'll reach out to them. Any other questions on any other leases? If not, item 3 is something we also do annually, to review school meal prices. That's actually policy EF, well, regulation EFR1. We are not recommending any changes in lunch prices or breakfast prices for the coming year. This is just the time we kind of acknowledge that, I suppose. If we were ever to increase my prices, then this, again, we change this regulation in prices. I'm not sure, Sal, do you remember the last time we changed the prices?
2018, it's been 3 or 4 years ago.
I couldn't really remember. I should remember that. Item 4, Salary Benefits Committee. This is a committee made up of James, Karen, Cassie, and Georgia. The first committee meeting will be April 28th, and that will be over in the boardroom. That will be just the committee and Sally and I, and we will discuss salary benefits for the coming year. The second meeting, which is open to staff representatives from all campus, will be held on May the 12th, and tentatively here at the PDCC, just so there's a little more room. Rather than boardroom. If you add up reps from all the campuses, we're getting principals and all of that, we're hitting between 25 and 30. So we thought we'd see about having that here, maybe in the auditorium center, which is fine. Update on the AGM football field summer project. I have not seen the 95% drawings. We had a few corrections from this one in your packet. I included the 60% design of that field. They will begin pretty soon. I think there's a calendar in this also where we begin to work on this. That's going to be a major project. It's going to be some substantial improvements just because they're going to basically tear everything out and then replace everything new. So it will be new substandard for the track, new surface for the track, 4-lane track, new shot put, discus, long jump, triple jump, runways, new sod, new sprinkler system, and new fence all the way around. So it's going to be a new facility, and that is coming from the mine reclamation project. So it's completely paid for. So that will begin very soon, and planning to complete that before the football game. They're going to what do you call it? Crown. I can't think of the word. Recrown the field so it'll drain better. They're going to provide some better and new drainage, and they're going to center the field, but still leave enough for if it ever goes to 100-yard. I mean, we don't expect it to in the near future, but there will still be room. At one time, it was a 100-yard field, and when they went to 6-man, it went to 80. It's presently 80. They're going to center that and still leave room if it ever needed to expand out. So that will be going on, so that'll be a pretty major project and a lot of activity this coming summer. And in between all of that, they're going to be drilling the holes, putting down the concrete or matrix or whatever they're putting down to stabilize those mine areas. COVID update, the variance was approved. I pretty much sent out all that data. After our special meeting, I sent that in Thursday morning. We got a response back Friday morning, so it was rather quick. At the superintendent conference that I just returned from, there's probably about 600 districts that are working on some type of variance to add to the 10 that have already received a variance. So it's kind of a growing thing. There are some areas that are not, we're just not planning to put in a variance. So that's kind of where we are. We're still in a pretty good situation as far as any known cases. And I'll just keep you posted through email if there's things that come up on that and see. Hopefully we'll get through the next 6 weeks and everything will be great. We had one prom. That variance came in on a Friday. The first prom was on Saturday, so that was pretty nice to be able to have that. So legislative update, item 7. You know some of this because it's been in the papers and I've shared probably a little bit, but the Senate and the House could not agree on a K-12 education funding bill. There's going to be a special session in July. I can't remember the dates, but I'll get that out. The 12th, starting the 12th. The main thing one of the things that they're planning, both sides kind of agreed on parts of that funding bill, but then there were some components that they could not agree on. So it kind of doomed the whole thing. So everything that in the bill went away because none of it didn't pass as a whole. They didn't take any pieces out and vote anything separately. So the consolidation study has gone away for now. The consolidation study of districts, that's gone away. Any kind of revenue piece has gone away. The thing that they're going to, I know, talk about this summer is the ARP money that is the latest COVID relief money from President Biden's administration, the one that passed since he's been president. that will give Wyoming somewhere in the vicinity of $273 million for K-12 education. So what the state is trying to figure out a way to do is to recapture something like 80% of that and only give the districts the 20% and then use that 80%. What we spend on it, that 80% will be taken out of our state funding the following year. So basically they're using that to help balance the budget so there won't be as many cuts and all. It's not a bad philosophy, to be quite honest, because we're kind of getting a lot of money, federal money right now. And the whole thing they've got to figure out is how they can make that work legally, because there's only some things that money can be used for. So, you know, we could probably make some of that work, be creative, you know, talk with Sally, but you can't just take that money and use it to buy this or do buy custodial things, unless it's COVID related. So we're going to have to make some things work. So I suspect that will be their first priority this summer, is to take care of that so that they can actually use that money to help with the state overall budget. Our amount in that marked money would be about $1 million. So about 80% of that would be $800,000 that would basically then remain with the state or go back to the state depending on how they make it work. And then we would still get a couple $100,000 of that for our district to decide. And in addition, we just got the amount of the last one under the Trump administration, and that is $499,000 for us. So I suspect they'll figure a way to at least make that piece happen. The question, I guess, is anything they decide this summer, we're kind of assuming, I guess we don't know, but we're assuming it would affect the following year because everybody's budget's been approved by then and all of the contracts have been signed and all of that. So that's kind of what we're assuming. I guess technically they would have the authority to make it immediate, but that would be, I mean, they don't normally do stuff like that. They screw up people's current budget. So they'll be talking about that. In the meantime, Governor Gordon is going to establish a task force. We had a private Zoom with him at the superintendent conference where he spoke to us superintendents. He's trying to get input from around the state on what people expect out of K-12 and kind of help lead some initiatives since the legislature kind of floundered around and didn't really come up with funding. So still things to monitor. Still thinking there's going to be some budget cuts somewhere in the future. Just we're not sure what the timetable is. Did you have anything to add to that, Sally? I'll leave any of the main pieces out. Okay. And then the last thing that's on that I didn't actually put in my more detail is graduation dates. They're coming up. Encampment's May 28th at 6 p.m. So that's the Friday night. AGM is the next day on Saturday at 11 a.m. Saratoga's next is on Saturday at 2. The input or the emails the input I've gotten from some of you, I passed along to Dana. Cassie said she would like to go to Saratoga's and help with that one. Karen said she could do Saratoga and or encampment. I think that's what I remember. So then whoever else, I mean, we just need to kind of decide who wants to go what direction, I guess.
I want to go to Saratoga and I would be happy to go to.
Same.
Are we the same now?
Yeah, well, we kind of need to know, so we'll just have names. I mean, I guess you could email, but it's
You know.
if you know, yeah. To help.
Oh, I don't know. I'll only be available Friday evening,
Okay.
so I'll be able to go to Hannah.
That would be
You can't.
Well, am I mistaken on these dates?
Right, you can't Friday night. We'll all go there because.
Okay. Well, if it's encampment on Friday evening, then. Yeah, it might come. But I'd be available Friday evening, so yes, whichever graduation it is.
Okay.
Put Nick down for that if he can't make it.
Paul normally goes to HM. I haven't talked to her.
I'll check dates and let you know for myself.
Make a new camera already.
We've got, and Casey might want to go to secretary if she hasn't said anything. We can put her name down for the question. All right, then that takes care of it, and then it's not, we'll get that emailed out too, just so people will.
All right, item B, principal reports. Ms. Max Weinberg.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I have just a brief presentation for you tonight on the Northern Elementaries. Our current enrollment in Elk Mountain, we have 5 students, 2 in kindergarten, 2 second graders, and a 3rd grader. Our staff are 1 full-time teacher, 1 full-time sped para, 1 rural building paraprofessional, and 1 part-time custodian. Medicine Bow, we currently have 10 students enrolled. In our K2 classroom, we have 3 first graders and 3 second graders. In our 3-6 classroom, we have 1 3rd grader, 1 4th grader, and 2 5th graders. At that building, we employ 2 full-time teachers, 1 hourly PE teacher, 1 full-time rural building paraprofessional, 1 part-time custodian, and 1 temporary cook's helper. And then at Hannah Elementary, we currently have 58 students. In our K1 classroom, there's 5 kinders and 7 first graders, 10 second graders, 3 3rd graders, 9 4th graders, 10 5th graders, and 14 6th graders. At that building, we have 6 classroom teachers, 1 title teacher, 4 sped paras, 1 secretary, 1 full-time and 1 part-time custodian, and 2 cook helpers. We also have, in the 3 buildings, a ton of shared staff. So we have a PE tech and health teacher that travels between all 3 buildings, a counselor that travels between all 3, sped teacher travels between all 3. We share our school nurse between our 3 buildings and HCM. Our occupational therapist, we have an R3 buildings, and I believe she works down in the southern buildings some too. Speech path, our speech therapist, same thing, all 3 of our buildings plus the southern buildings. I have the 3 buildings, and then we share our music and art teacher with the high school. And then we have 1 regular classroom aide that teaches music, art, reading, and does some sped, and she's between the 2 small buildings. These are just some of the activities we were able to do within the COVID guidelines this year. We had a field trip to volunteer fire department, which we also used as an opportunity to practice an evacuation drill off campus. We were able to do a socially distanced pumpkin patch. Medicine Bow did some jack-o'-lantern decorating contests. They actually had them outside for the locals to judge. Buildings had Halloween activities. We did homecoming week and school spirit days. You'll see some pictures from those. We were able to do STEAM days this last Friday. We gave the kids an option of how they wanted to do it with the mask variants. We had group activities and individual activities, but all of the students volunteered to wear masks to do the group activities. If you heard rumors that I was kidnapped, that came from that day. They were doing some forensic science. And so my office was a crime scene, and they were trying to figure out what happened to me. So they really got into it. It was an amazing day. As you know, we did the holiday door decorating contest. That was district-wide. We had some cool Valentine's activities. We've done some swimming at the Hannah Rec Center and have some more of that coming up this week. We got to enjoy the power of social media speaker that JD brought in. We did DARE at Medicine Bow and Hannah, and Medicine Bow kids had a visit from Santa, socially distanced outside. So here's some of our other pictures. These were our Valentine's boxes. The kids coming in, those are 4 different pictures. of them coming in with their pumpkins. And yes, our Hannah teachers were the Care Bears this year. They were quite the crew. There was from our school spirit days, the Rainbow Day, they were all dressed up. This was one of our STEAM days. They were testing airplanes. They had studied Amelia Earhart, and we're testing airplanes for best hang time, best distance, and then best cargo. They actually like loaded them up with little washers, and the ones that went the farthest with most washers won. And whenever we do those STEAM days, they do multi-age levels, so they were cleaning stuff in between, but they were wearing masks when they were close together. These are just our attendance numbers, just to give you an idea, despite the weather and stuff. This one is skewed right here just due to the fact that this student lives far out of town on a road that closes frequently, so, and when you're one of two, it skews your numbers a little bit. But overall, our attendance has been pretty good. We do have a few that we've had send letters on, but not too bad, considering that we've asked a lot of them to keep them home when they didn't say. I wanted to share about discipline because I feel like I've been very, very blessed as a first-year principal. Across my buildings, I had a total of 10 log entries this year for discipline. Only 2 of those were even able to do anything like ISS. The rest of them were like, we have a conversation, you go home, kind of a thing. But when you look at the fact that we have 74 students and we've had 133 days of school, even if we had 1 discipline issue a day, that's 9,842 opportunities for discipline issues. We're less than 0.1%. So I attribute that to the fact that my teachers have excellent classroom management skills. They build strong relationship with their students, and most of those behaviors don't even make it to my office. It's been a blessing without a doubt. And I have 2 students on behavior plans, and even they have to be. So that's doing really well. Some awards that have been passed out. You may remember that one of our students at Medicine Go was recognized for 2nd place in the Arbor Day contest. He got to go shine and plant a tree. They did a newspaper article on him. And for 3rd quarter at Medicine Go, we had 1 student that had perfect attendance. Actually, all the way through the first 3 quarters, she had perfect attendance. At Hannah Elementary for 3rd quarter, this is just our 3rd quarter ones, we had 9 students that got model minor. For 4th through 6th grade, we had 11 of our 33 students were A honor roll, straight A's. 13 of them were AB honor roll. 11 of our students had perfect attendance, and our best attendance by class, very, very closely followed by the kindergartners, was 1st grade. So 1st grade was like 93.8, and kindergarten was like 93.75. It was really close. Our Elk Mountain students, they're going to do their awards at the end of the year, so I didn't have their statistics. And then this is our projected enrollment for next year. So we're looking at 9 students at Elk Mountain, 12 at Medicine Bow, and 52 at Hannah. Our numbers keep climbing on our kindergartens, so we are getting in quite a few of our kindergartners. There may be a little bit of flex in between buildings, but overall our numbers should stay fairly steady. Some more pictures of our kids having fun. These are our Elk Mountain kiddos. And I just want to thank you guys for your support. We're hoping to have you visit our building soon. In fact, on May 11th at 2 o'clock, we're doing our wax museum, Mrs. Jones's wax museum for 4th grade. At 1 o'clock, the kids will go through, and then at 2 o'clock, we'll have parents, and we'd like to invite you guys to come up and join us as well. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a question. So you mentioned on our special meeting that some of your staff were out. Are they able to be back now, or what's your status?
My last one gets to come back on Wednesday. And actually, I have another one waiting for a test for Medicine Bow. Rapid test was negative, but because they were symptomatic, we have to wait for a test. But yeah, we got two of them back last week and 1 this week. So we're still dealing with a lot of subs. And now that we have some people out on maternity leave, we have fewer subs because they stole some of them for long-term subs. So it's kind of a scramble, but we're making it.
For me, I always really like going to those 3 little schools for the school board meetings. There's always a lot of fun. And of course, they're elementary, so they got fun stuff up.
Oh, yeah,
Miss doing that.
they're all decorated, but like I said, I'd love for you guys to come up on the 11th. That would be fun. Wonderful. And of course, we have our spring concerts coming up. I can get you those dates as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next would be the round. Special ed work.
I don't really have a whole lot. Just in the last couple of weeks, we had our special ed directors conference. It was all virtual this year, which is kind of a bummer because it's always nice to get together with those people and actually be able to connect with them, where this year it was just Zoom meetings, which makes it really hard. But a couple of things, the kind of keynote speaker of that was Stephanie Winfield, and she did a 2-day presentation on trauma-informed schools and trauma-informed practices. Drew attended that with me also, and so it was just kind of a good reminder for us that a lot of our kids are dealing with a lot of things outside of school, and when they come to us, it may not be that we did something to them, but they're just trying to deal with everything else. It's a group, I think she said she's based in Colorado, but it's a regional group, and they have a lot of free tools and a lot of free assessments that we can use for our schools to kind of make sure that we are trauma informed and that we're teaching kids that way. Just some other things, the WDE comes in and gives an update, and there was kind of a few changes in the special ed world. One of the main things is that they did put through that we will be billing Medicaid for our services, so it will be anybody that's licensed to do related services. So our physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech, school psychology, if we use an audiologist, any of those people we would bill Medicaid for. A lot of other states already do this, so we found out that our program that we use to write IEPs already has a Medicaid billing section that they use in South Dakota. So it would just be, we can transfer over and we can use that. It's a ways out, so starting, they said in, I believe it's July of 2022 that we can opt in, but then the following school year we would have to do it. So we kind of have some time to work up to that and make sure that we have our ducks in a row. And there's a lot of forms that we'll need to start filling out. You know, some parents aren't open about if their kids have Medicaid or not. And so that will be another form we have to have parents fill out to ensure that we get the right kids that we're billing for Medicaid. So that was just kind of the biggest thing. They did talk a little bit more about the budgeting, and they said they removed the cap on special education, but then there's some question because it was removed for districts, but not for the state. So we're confused on how we can cap it at the state level, but districts can spend however much they want. Like, that doesn't really make sense. So we're still kind of trying to figure that out. Just some kind of updates with the way that they do our data collection and determination of our success, and they just kind of changed it a little bit. They're going to be looking more at, instead of proficiency of our students, they're going to be looking at the gaps between our regular ed kids and our special ed kids and trying to close those gaps instead of just are we proficient or not, which I think is a good thing. The other big thing out of that is for a long time, they were looking at proficiency, that they wanted us to be 100% proficient on all of our state testing, and that just came from the No Child Left Behind, since that's not a thing really anymore. They looked at proficiency, and right now they decided that as a special ed department, our kids should be 21% proficient. And I think we should be able to reach that. That's just kind of a 1 year. They tried it out, or they're going to try it out using this year's data, and then we'll kind of get together and figure out where we want to be from there. And then kind of the last thing was that MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support, that's kind of a push for regular ed and special ed, but they're just kind of wanting to move that more out of the special ed world, and so to put that more on the regular ed teachers, which is how it should be. So with that, you tier the kids based on their abilities, and then if they get all the way through and interventions aren't working, then at the last tier is when we would get a referral for special ed. So I think it will help us to be able to help those kids that are kind of the bubble kids, and they're not really a special education student, but they're needing more help. So that was a good move or a good thing to hear more about. Otherwise, just with our other federal programs, we got notice that with our English language learners, we have a screener that we use for our kids, and they're wanting to move to a different screener. So we've been asked if we do have any of those students that we need to give them 2 screenings now instead of just the one, so that they can start to norm that one. I didn't think we had any of those, but I just heard today we might, so I need to look into that and see if we need to do some of this norming with those kids. Otherwise, nothing new with any other federal programs. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Maney.
Members of the board, my report is attached as usual. I have no updates for you for curriculum or our district assessment system. There hasn't been a lot going on lately with that, but I'll provide that information as it changes over time. Assessments, the spring summative testing window for YTOP. So that's the big end of the year test that is now open. When I wrote my report last week, we did not have any results yet tabulated. I forgot to check today, honestly, but if we have any reported information so far, it's going to be pretty sparse because that window actually stays open until the end, the mid-May approximately. But once we get that information and we can actually disseminate it and see where the strengths and weaknesses are, we'll definitely have a way forward to look at how this year has really progressed, and really the end of last year, even with the impacts of the pandemic, and be able to modify things as we go forward, especially with some of the funds that Dr. Copeland brought up earlier with his report. A lot of my work this past month went into finishing up some CTE required and year pieces essentially that we have to put into. We need to essentially go into a report system, tell the state which of our CTE students are considered participants, which of our CTE students are under or freshmen, sophomores, underclassmen really that are taking CTE program courses, which are considered concentrators, so our students who are getting close to graduation and have taken enough courses in a given sequence that necessitates the last part of which of our students are testing. So after spring break, the CTE teachers and I got together and we went through all of our students to identify who's who using the new system with Perkins 5. We also had to change up our assessment systems on almost all of our CTE programs, other than our business teachers. So programs like computer applications, those assessments were previously put into place and still are accepted by the WE, but all of our ag tests, all of our ag mechanics tests, courses like woodworking, those were all thrown out, so we had to find new ones. We were able to select those. We now have the exact list of who we need to test. And even though we're not expected to test, or required, I should say is a better word, to test this year because our school performance ratings, that whole system, we've been exempted from again this year because of the pandemic. We're going to go forward with testing, not only because we need to put it into practice again, but also the whole metric system for how our CTE students, how their performance relates to our SPRs is really complex, and basically they will look at past years' data sometimes to give us a score on that particular category of what our students are doing, either doing well in the ACT or doing well in the ASVAB military readiness testing, or doing well in CTE. So we want to get those scores in place just in case they start looking at years past data and it's missing because we decided not to test this year. So I'm happy to have that resolved. Pretty much all we have left to do is test the students, which all of the teachers are now set up to do, and then input that data, which is fairly easy from this point forward. Beyond that work, just starting to plan for our in-service day, our last in-service day of the year on May 7th.
And we're going to be focusing on the CPI training, the crisis prevention and intervention training that we are expected to do every 2 years. We've been a little lax on that for obvious reasons, so we're going to get pretty much all of our staff trained with the in-house trainers we have, a number of which are over there in the back corner. So we're just putting the finishing touches hopefully on that soon. Also started collecting staff feedback just as our end of the year district process for what we need to focus on for next year. Robin brought up some NTSS things, which I know some teachers have already expressed some interest in that. She brought up trauma, trauma. Can't remember the exact phrasing for that, but just focusing on trauma-based learning, I think is the best way to put it. But we have some options to maybe train one of our staff members or a couple of our staff members on that. So based on some of the feedback that we're getting from the teachers, we'll be able to make a good judgment call on how to move forward with that, as well as any other PD for our teachers next year. And then beyond that, we're also going to, on Wednesday, start talking as an A team a little bit more specifically about what are some PD things that we're going to do for our staff next year, according to what the principals are seeing, just thinking about the entire year. And then last but not least, we started our Teacher of the Year and Staff Member of the Year process for nominations. So we've already got a handful of nominations for both particular awards, and looking forward to picking that and celebrating those individuals, because if anything, we always need more things to celebrate, to be positive about. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, audience, any comment?
So first, I just want to say, I appreciate you guys as a board. After seeing the involvement from parents at the last special meeting, of us able to make it, but then in the last regular meeting with you guys, giving that discussion about applying to mass variance, and I've seen what has kind of been the fallout from Suffolk County with their vote a few months ago. I know as elected officials, you probably tend to maybe get more, why are you doing this? What are you doing? Personally, thank you. I want to thank you guys as a parent for the support you give students, staff, all that, which goes in my second comment, which is obviously parent conferences have kind of gone through, and I am just really, really happy about the staff that we have in this district. Granted, my personal experience with my son is in Hammond, but I mean across the board in this district with my job. Great staff, and I know a lot that comes from having great administrators and having a great work ethic. So just want to say that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to offer my expertise, I guess, to the board. If any of you want a learning session on Zoom, if you would, I can meet you at the school near you or wherever you happen to be, and just make an appointment with me, and we can sit down and play with some of the Zoom settings so that you're more comfortable with it.
Thank you.
She was looking at me when she said that.
You're not the only one.
Okay, any other audience comments? All right. Doesn't look like we have any unfinished business at this time. So on the new business, technically the same things.
Yeah, A, B, and C, we received no qualified bids. We received one partial email bid, which is really not a legal bid. So this is kind of a crazy time for construction. I'm not sure what options we will come up with. This may be something we can do, maybe something we put off a year to see how the whole construction business adjusts. But we are going to try one more time, change it up a little bit, and rebid, so we may still yet have these projects. These projects have been on major maintenance lists, have been approved by them for a few years. We've just done other things, prioritized other things. So there's no emergencies, but they do all three need to be done, you know, as soon as practical. It's just that, you know, one contractor that called me said that he was having trouble finding plumbers, which of course this is a big plumbing type of job, to change all the fixtures out of the locker rooms and so on. So we're going to redo this. There's no action on any of these tonight, so that's just kind of the latest update. So I'll keep everyone posted on that.
Thank you. 10, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we offer the consent agenda.
Second.
We moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 11A, treasurer's report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your general fund balance at the end of March was $5,272,532.89. We spent $50,000 more than what we brought in, and I think that's pretty cool. So you see there are revenue and our reimbursement expenses plus our March bills and March payroll. And number two is our major receipts, which of course your school foundation payment, money from your county treasurer, and also the depreciation reserve reimbursement. We did move money from depreciation reserve to cover the balance of the Chromebooks that weren't covered by the grant and the laptop replacements for all the teachers. So that's where that $198,000 comes from. And then First American Title, that's your payment for your medicinal land. That's what that's for. In section 3 are your investments at various rates and maturities. Did you have any questions regarding your general fund treasurer's report? In your other funds on page 2, you see there your grant funds with the various balances that they have remaining. You see the comparison between the payroll from March 2020 to March 2021. The scholarship accounts, there were no new scholarships issued during the month of March. You see your balances, expenditures, and revenue for the employee benefit fund, your major maintenance fund, your capital construction fund, your depreciation reserve fund, your lunch fund, cabinet activity, HANA activity, Saratoga activity, and of course the medical lodging deposit account is at 0. Do you have any questions regarding page number 2? Were there any questions regarding the summary pages for revenue and expenditures? I think we're on track. Our budget is a little bit lower and our revenue is a little bit lower, and I think that everything is meshing out just fine there. Another piece of paper that you have in front of you is the one that looks like this. This is your estimated funds available for 21-22 for the general fund and your other funds. This is our best guess at this time. There's not been any funding model or preliminary model come out yet from WDE. I'm still waiting to see that. I'm kind of guessing at what the total estimated revenue or foundation guarantee will be. There is in the ECA, there's an adjustment to the earned cost adjustment. It's cut in half this year from what it was last year. And that was something that was already in place before the legislature ever met this year. So when they didn't do anything, that cut still stays in place. And they did tweak some on the health insurance, so there's a little bit of adjustment there. We have paid off all of our bus leases, so our reimbursement for buses will be down, for transportation will be down about $130,000. So there's a cut there as far as reimbursements. Those are the major things I can think of. Your ATM, as of the end of March, was down about between 6 and 8. From what I can remember, I didn't bring the numbers with me. But your ADM is down, or what we're going to calculate the foundation guarantee on. So there's also little bitty adjustments here and there in the current funding model that are going to bring your revenue down just a little bit. And so those, I just want to get those numbers in front of you and kind of give you a heads up as to what's going on. You will see a preliminary budget coming in May, and you can anticipate a budget amendment hearing in June for in particular the lunch fund. The lunch fund is receiving more revenue from the federal government for the summer food program, since we're operating under that instead of the National School Lunch Program this year. The reimbursements are higher per meal, and since all the meals in the schools are free, the participation is higher in the schools. So you've got more meals and more money, so you've got more revenue in food service, but you've also got more expense for the more food that you're preparing for those additional meals. So the food service budget is going to have to be adjusted in June. Not by much, but there'll be some adjustment to do that. I don't anticipate any adjustments anywhere else. I think the food service will be more budget that we'll need to. Do you have any questions for me on the anticipated revenues?
The $2 million grants at the bottom, is that what he was talking about in the life administration, or is that regular grants?
It's double, it's basically doubled from what we usually allow. We usually allow about $1 million, and we doubled it because of between the Trump's administration this year and the Biden administration, everything coming in. We're not gonna have it all spent by June 30th, so there's gonna be some carryovers and things going on. And so that's a placeholder. We never really know how much federal money we're gonna get. Other questions? That concludes my report.
Bills.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve, well, the bills committee and I met with Sally, I move we approve the following. General fund, $269,207.29. Federal fund, $156,829.57. Major maintenance fund, $172,761.41. Depreciation reserve fund, $198,169.53. Hot lunch fund, $27,621.82. Encampment activity account, $1,009.28. And activity account, $7,366.01. Saratoga Schools activity account, $10,160.86. For a total of $843,125.60.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bills in the total amount of $843,125.68. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, May bill committee will be Miller, Sewell, and Wamsley. All right, 12 items from the board. A, Georgia.
I attached the executive director report that she's been doing for us. I don't really have anything to add, and then I think Dr. Copeland is planning from next month.
Yes, the May meeting.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you. Board member comments. Georgia, we'll start.
Well, of course, graduation will be coming up, so that's exciting for everyone. Prom was this weekend and Thanksgiving. I think that all looks like it went well. And of course, the last weekend in September, kids had a good time, so I was happy for that. Again, thank you to all of the administrators and staff and for all you have done throughout last year and this year, keeping our kids in school. It's very much appreciated. Track, I think we had a successful track meet. I think it's probably a little chilly, but at least we had one, so that's exciting.
Well, I had the pleasure and the opportunity to visit, to spend the day at the Saratoga Elementary School. And, one thing I'd say that it is amazing what's going on. When I saw the school counselor wiping down tables in the lunchroom, all of the things that everyone is doing to keep the kids in school and to provide, a nice, smooth running operation. The kids were very engaged. I was very pleased with all the classrooms and the time that I had visited the teachers. And I would just want to say thank you to, as Georgia said, to everybody for all the work that they've done to provide the best year possible. And I think in spite of everything, there's been some changes, but some changes have been for the good. And so I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you, guys.
I'd like to start, thank Laura and Robin and Bill for their reports. You guys give a lot of thought to it, put a lot of effort into it, so I appreciate that. Admin, hats off to you guys. Work that you've done to get us to this point with no mask. I know a lot of people aren't happy, but I know a lot of people are happy, so it's a hard decision to make that way, but I appreciate you guys standing your ground on that. And also thanks to my fellow board members for dedication that you guys put in to this board also.
I'd like to thank Lindsay Boardman and Bailey Laughlin for their service. They'll be greatly missed. Basically what everybody else said. Thank you, all of you guys, for all your hard work and make this job very easy for the most part. We appreciate it. Our kids appreciate it. They've been happy, so thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mrs. Wilswinder and Governor Knoll as well for their reports. It's always great to hear what's going on in the schools. You know, the shared staffing was really interesting to me. I know some of that, but sometimes I forget. So that was just really good information to see all the activities and the kids. It was great. I also wanted to thank Lindsay Boardman and Bailey Laughlin for their work that they've done for the district. I was on Bill's committee today, and I just really want to thank Sally for all the work that she does. Just all the planning that she has to do for all the different scenarios that are going around in these potential, you know, big budget cuts. So thank you. And thank you to Mr. Priest and HEM for the snacks. That was really nice of you. Last thing I have is I went to my first track meet on Saturday, and I was just really blown away by all the community support and all the community helpers at that event that don't have kids involved in track. And it was just a really great event, and it just reminds me what a great community that we live in. So thank you.
I appreciate JD invited the guy to come talk about social media and some of the dangers to be aware. And both my kids talked about that. I got to go my first track meet too. I had a lot of fun there. I thought JD should always wear one of the headsets when he was involved in school stuff. I thought it looked cool. Darren's like, no, that's terrible. I don't have to deal with it, so you know. It's too loud. Yeah. Maybe you know, like, oh, that looks like yeah, started something there. So happy for the new teachers you guys have interviewed and selected and hired. I know, you know, turnover, we always think we should never have turnover, but that's the reality in any business. And so I'm excited for them and the opportunity to come to our district. Laura, I really appreciate your report about elementaries. Those are great, fun schools, and like I said, I miss going up there. I would like to thank the radio and newspaper for when we did have the special meeting, you know, emphasizing, and I heard it on the radio about Georgia talking about leave your kids home if they're sick, and that was important. So I hope, you know, people follow that and we don't get egg on our face and then you guys come back and say, see, we told you so. We don't want, none of us obviously want to be there. So appreciate the work you guys have done, as Joe said, getting everybody going the extra mile this year to keep the kids in school and involved. All right, now we have no executive session. Next meeting day will be Monday, May 17th here at the Community Center, and I'm happy to report that the 59 meetings under 1